Hello, business building warrior. If you're listening to this episode near the time when it first came out, hey, it's the weekend. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. And to help you make your weekend even more impactful for your business, we've compiled some great information from some recent conversations we've had with students in our community who are actively trying to build beautiful businesses through e-commerce. That's right. This is a podcast that's all about using the internet creatively to launch and grow the business of your dreams. And hundreds of our interview episodes, if you scroll back in time, are with the students who have followed our proven Amazon course strategies to do just that. They've built a beautiful business, and we talked to them about the road that they were on to get to that point. So you can go back and listen to some of those episodes if you'd like, scroll back in time. But today, what I have for you is, like I said, recent conversations with students from our community who are at all levels of experience. Because what we do every Monday around here, around 5 o'clock Eastern time, we've been doing it for a long time, is we go live on Zoom and anyone can join in and ask us anything about their business, about e-commerce, about our community, about our coaching program, about our courses, or about some challenges they're facing in their business. So these Saturday episodes are a nice random mix-up of conversational topics. We've done our best to break down a little bit about what you're about to experience in the description for today's episode, so you can check that out if you'd like. But it's going to be some really good people, some of your fellow business building warriors hopping on a live call with us, hanging out and having conversations with us. Most of our Saturday episodes, that's what we do. It's that recent recording. You'll also hear from time to time an older episode that we've revisited, pulled out some really good nuggets of information and broken it down into bite-sized pieces so you can take it along with you on the weekend, enjoy whatever it is that you're doing on Saturday or over the rest of the weekend, and then be ready to hit the week with some new energy and ideas and motivation because you hung out with your friends at Silent Sales Machine Radio and listened to some good inspiration. So thanks for being the best part of our show. We're honored that you spend some time listening to our show each week. And if you want to leave us a review, we'd certainly appreciate that. We'll jump over into the content in just a moment, but we love those iTunes 5-star reviews. We love those likes and those comments, all that stuff. It's so great. It helps us spread the word. We have no marketing budget for this show. It's all about you spreading the word. And we recently flew past 6 million downloads on iTunes alone because you do such a great job of telling others about silentjimdotcom. That's all you got to do. Soon there, say, hey, these guys know their stuff when it comes to e-commerce and selling online and Amazon. Go check out some of those shows. We appreciate when you do that. Thank you so much for that. Well, let's jump over and see what the team's put together for us today. Here we go. Good evening, business building warriors. Good to see you guys jumping on here on this fine Monday evening. If you just want to kind of sit back and listen, maybe you're new around here, get a feel for what we're all about, that's cool too. Let me just give you the basics, who we are, what we can do for you, some of the things that I think we're really good at around here, some of the things we're proud of around here that I want to brag a little bit about, and then we'll get into whatever questions are on your mind. So my name is Jim Cockrum, and this Facebook group is now about 75,000 members or so. We started it with a handful of leaders from this community several years ago, and it's just grown organically over time until recently. I'm talking just the past few weeks. We've never done any kind of paid advertising for this group. We're dipping our toes in those waters now, but it's just grown word of mouth. People sharing with other people, hey, this is a community of people who are using the internet creatively, and they're helpful. They're abundance-minded, meaning we love seeing other people succeed. We don't see each other as competitors here. I'd love to go into that in more detail if someone wants to ask me about it, but that's 100% who we are. Your success leads to more success for all of us. And we see the world through that lens, and we've proven it over and over and over again. The world needs more successful business owners, and we're here to help each other out, to encourage each other. So we use the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple streams of income. What's that mean? Well, there's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of scams out there too. There's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of mistakes you could make. So we say, hey, let's create a wide path that a lot of people can use and enjoy and kind of apply their own experiences and their geographical location and maybe how much time they have on their hand and their interests and their different skills, and find something that makes sense for them. But when a student comes to us and says, hey, okay, I'm ready to work, I'm a clean slate, Show me a system, show me a process. I'm going to work. I'm going to follow instructions. I'm going to build something legitimate. Show me something good. We say, hey, why don't you start off with Amazon? Because Amazon represents half of all transactions any given day in the United States online. That's a lot of people buying a lot of stuff every day. And if you can help Amazon fill the underserved shelf space in their hundreds of warehouses, that's a cool business model. That's our favorite model, actually, to teach to new students around here. We call it the replens model. And Robin Joy coined the term, she's joining me tonight, of low, low, high. Virtually every other business opportunity out there, to our knowledge, online or offline, traditional, doesn't have the low, low, high qualities of the replens business. What do we mean by that? Low risk, low investment required. I would say low learning curve to get started. You can be earning while you're learning, and a very high odds of a nice ROI for your efforts. So that's the model we use to give you some momentum, to give you a big shove in the right direction. We spend a lot of time helping people go from zero to having a viable Amazon replens business. We use the content and training from the Proven Amazon course. There's a link to that at silentjimdotcom, as well as a link to our free Facebook group, as well as a link to our coaching program if you want to work one-on-one with one of our highly successful students who's carved out a little bit of time each week to work one-on-one, a handful of students at a time. That's our coaching program. We've been doing coaching for over 20 years at this point in e-commerce, with nearly 10,000 students served. And I'm going to transition over to one of our great coaching leaders who's been with us for quite a while. She started off as a clueless newbie with her husband. Her husband jumped in first, and then she jumped in with him just a few short years back. But now they've become great leaders, created a lot of content, have an amazing success story. And she actually runs a program that I want to have her tell you about as well, called Kickstart, when she introduces herself here. So Robin Joy, how are you tonight, my friend?
Jim, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. I've got stacks and stacks of index cards of little things I got to remember to do before the conference. But other than that,
Me too.
as long as I don't lose my index cards, I'm going to be okay.
Probably not quite as many as you, but that workshop's getting me really busy right now. But we want to talk about Kickstart today. So the Kickstart program is very exciting. It wasn't started by me, but I think it's a great program. And I'm usually the coach that you get when you're in the Kickstart program. What it is a 4-week program that is for people who are just getting started. Now, we do have some more experienced people come and join us just to go back to the basics. But this is really, if you're just the first time, you haven't sent a shipment in yet, even if you haven't opened your Amazon seller account yet, we're going to walk you through how to get your seller account open, how to get your Keepa account open, and that's really all you need to get started. We're going to show you how to start with that. We're going to take you through one repetition of sending a shipment into Amazon. So you need to learn how to find an ASIN that you can sell on and what that means, what you need to look out for. You're going to learn how to prep that item and how to ship it to Amazon. Make a shipping plan so Amazon knows what they're getting and send it into Amazon and put it up for sale. We're going to go through at least one repetition of that so that you kind of understand what the mechanics are and you kind of understand what you're facing when you multiply that and build a foundational book of business. So a lot of people get a lot of really great information here, and they learn from each other as well. There's a Facebook group that for 4 weeks you can ask any questions that are pertinent to the group, and I'll answer those on a daily basis. But we also have 4 live Q&A calls where we can talk back and forth and discuss what your questions are. This helps bring away the really scary part of, I don't know what it is, so it might be really scary. Let's bring that down to something that's known so that you cannot be scared anymore and take action. That's what we're doing. Come join us.
Beautiful. Yeah. And it's for Proven Amazon course students, one-time cost of $37. And the reason we launched that program, back when we did, was simply because we saw there's a common set of about 15 or 20 questions that everybody asks when they're getting started. And we thought, hey, why don't we just get them all in a group and go through the process together? And the thing that Robin Joy just pointed out that I love about these, one of the things, there's a lot to love about these small groups, somewhere around 10 to, I think the biggest ones are 20 people, something like that. It's most of the new proven Amazon course students that are coming into our community any given week. One of the things we see is that when you do something together as a group, John Wooden said this. I think it was actually originally an old African proverb, but basically, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, travel with a group, take a team. So you're kind of finding your team early on in the process of people who are doing what you're doing. You want to last, you want to sustain. I don't want to see people say, okay, I'm going to go all in this weekend and put in 36 hours between now and Monday. Like, I would rather see you say, you know what, I'm going to carve out 5 to 10 hours a week the next month and be very disciplined. And I'm going to do it with a group of others. You're going to go much further. I'd rather see you go further versus fast and try to get it all done in a weekend. And that's what these Kickstart groups do, is they really help you get off on the right foot with a community of people and a great coach helping you walk through this first initial steps. Turn those mountains into molehills, we say around here, so you can get through this first check boxes. So yeah, that's some of our introductory comments, guys.
We're getting some questions in here now and some comments. What module in the PAC will help me understand why a sales rank on a product suddenly goes from 120,000 to 5,000, and from replens, I feel like I've walked past potential ASINS. And finding replens, I feel like I've walked past potential ASINs. Do you want me to talk to that?
Yeah, take it, because my mind, I'm attacking the premise of the question here a little bit in my head. Why don't you take a shot at this one first, Robin Joy, and I'll play cleanup. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm seeing here is, why does the sales rank go from 120,000 to 5,000 as an example? Big drop there, right? So what causes that is sales. If you have an ASIN that is going along and it's selling regularly, maybe it sells 1 a month, 10 a month, whatever, it's selling regularly. When it makes a sale, it's going to drop in sales rank because it's going to suddenly become popular in that category. That's what causes it to show more popularity. So when you see those big drops from 120,000 to 5,000, that's a good thing. That means probably a sale has happened, very possibly, and probably many sales have happened during that time that it dropped. And it'll drop all in one day. And that's why we count sales rank drops. Brian and I count sales rank drops, and many of the people in the community do, to kind of give us the most conservative number of sales that we can see evidence of over a period of time. If it has 30 sales rank drops or more on an average per month, then that's usually a pretty good selling ASIN. And if all other things are good, then you can probably test that ASIN and be a good one to test. But that's what causes it to go from way high to way low. And that's Keepa that keeps track of those sales rank movements.
Yep. I love it. And for those who don't know what Keepa is, just to go back to the basics, go listen to podcast episode 369, silentjimdotcom. It's an older episode, but I could record it today and it would be spot on accurate. That tool scrapes data from Amazon, unlike any other tool out there. So a lot of the power tools, the tools that cost, $200 a month, and those, crazy expensive tools with nice graphical layouts and things that are super friendly, they're just borrowing Keepa's data and massaging it for $20 a month. The best tool out there by far, hands down, the only tool you'll need. In our Proven Amazon course training, we've had people go through it and just use Keepa to build a 7-figure business, them and their spouse, 2 people. Keepa, Proven Amazon course, 7-figure business, and some hustle, a lot of hustle. But sure, Keepa scrapes this data and gives it to us in ways that you can't get from Amazon's typical API data feed. They're tracking historical trends. So yeah, tracking the drops on a Keepa chart. We dive into that training in the Proven Amazon course. And Robin Joy told you a little bit about it. Podcast episode 369 tells you all about why we love Keepa, what it does, what makes it so special. And I'm actually in the process of suggesting some new features to them, Robin Joy. I think I CC'd you guys on that. I can't wait to hear back. There's some interesting things. We're always making observations like, hey, could you guys massage the data like this and show us some new features? And they listen to us because we sent them a few thousand users at this point. So, but they're very anonymous. I don't know how to contact them except this little support email. They stay hidden, but they're good at what they do. And they got a cool power tool that helps us out. So yeah, that's what when we talk about drops, that's just our best way to know how many times per month something sells. Amazon doesn't tell us, for 99% of their catalog, they don't tell us how many times per month this item sells. They'll give us a round figure on some of the most popular items. But if you want to know how many times per month something sells, Amazon will not tell you. That's where Keepa gives you an insight into how fast is this thing moving. Anytime someone comes to us when they're new and they say, should I do this or should I do that? I'm like, let's think long and hard before we use the word or when we should be using the word and. I say it all the time. I think we should be using the word and here. Yeah, and do online and retail, right?
Absolutely
Use
agree.
a prep center and keep some of it at home. You don't have to go all in on any, experiment, see what works out for you. See, follow where the profits are, follow where the opportunity is, try all of it. But make sure you don't jump too ahead of the game. Andrew says he likes taking photos in stores and come home to do research. Yeah, it leads you to so many opportunities, online sourcing and retail opportunities. That's one of my favorite, if not my very favorite. I'm sometimes asked, say, Jim, okay, if you had an hour to find as many great replens as you could, how would you spend your hour? Right? I'd take a couple store shelf pictures, not many, 3 or 4 stores. Which aisle, Jim? Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If I can see barcodes and prices, anywhere in the store, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time in clothing because that takes a lot of extra time, but pretty much anything that's got aisles and shelves, take a few pictures, go home, research those brands. I'm going to find in an hour somewhere between 5 and 10 pretty easily. It may not be the items that were on the shelf, but it's going to be other items that I can source elsewhere that are on underserved ASINs on Amazon, which that's the big switch you got to flip. I'm not looking for profitable products with the replens model. I'm all for profitable products, don't get me wrong, but we're not teaching you to go find profitable products to find a better discount. We're teaching you to find underserved listings on Amazon. The stuff that's selling like crazy and there's not enough sellers selling. Those ASINs are everywhere. We teach you to go find those. And then you go find the product and the price you paid kind of doesn't matter because it's a hot seller and you can reasonably expect to make a profit at a price that's nice for you and you jump on it. You send in a couple test units.
Absolutely agree. And that goes to the fact that you do not have to sell it for what it's selling for right now or what you see as a price. You can sell it. You can put it up for sale at whatever price you choose with some high level limitations. But that's why we always encourage people to test it high, test it at the place that it would be a good profit for you. And if it sells, replenish it. If it doesn't, move on to the next ASIN.
Scott's question is, can we decide which warehouse my inventory goes to? Can we manipulate that somehow so we're sure it goes to a warehouse where it's more likely to be sold, where I'm the only FBA seller, for example? No, you can't control that at all. Amazon decides where to send inventory, but their algorithms are smart. If there's only a few FBA sellers with a few units of inventory, they're going to spread it out. So you're most likely going to be the only Amazon seller in the warehouses where you're sitting. And if a shopper near that warehouse wants it fast, like say today fast or tomorrow fast, you're going to be the only viable option. So for those shoppers who sort based on delivery date, not price, you're going to be the top option. And so you're going to be able to charge a lot more money. That's our above buy box strategy. I made so many great above buy box sales today. I made another one of, I turned my phone off so I wouldn't get interrupted. But another one of my favorite ones, I made 2 sales on it today. And I am the highest price by so far. But there's just not enough FBA sellers out there. Everyone else on there is a merchant fulfilled seller shipping it from their own garage or shipping it from their own, storage facility, whatever. It takes at least 2 to 4 days to get there. And I'm sitting in warehouses where I can get it to the shoppers so much faster that I'm the top option. And I'm charging a lot more money than everybody else. That's just one great strategy. Some people are becoming convinced that's all I do now. But no, I'm just I love it so much for new sellers, especially as a way to get confident and to experiment and find hundreds of thousands of test-worthy ASINs. And let me just give you a shortcut link while I'm talking about that, Rob and Joy, then I'll see what I'm missing here from you. But if you go to silentjimdotcom/500K, 500, and then a small k as in 500,000. It has to be a lowercase k. I learned that the hard way. But go to silentjimdotcom/500K. That is a video. It's a free video in our free Facebook group that shows you step-by-step how to go into Keepa, what settings to set up, click a button, and it shows you hundreds of thousands of ASINs that match the criteria that I'm describing here. It's a fast-moving ASIN. You can reasonably expect to make a sale near buy box, but there's also inadequate FBA coverage, meaning there's not enough units sitting in Amazon's warehouses to serve the demand for that product. If you can find that product, name a high price, you're going to make sales. So it's not about finding discounts and deals and bargains and closeouts. It's about serving underserved ASINs and making it convenient for the shopper. You can make a lot of margin that way.
We now in our replens business, we're always testing, and we encourage people to always test, no matter how big your business is getting or how long you've had it. However, always be testing, because things happen to ASINs, and you're always looking for more and more better ASINs. And we test every week. We test now, and every time we test at high prices to see if we can get that. And if we can only get the buy box, and the buy box is profitable for us, we will replenish. If it basically, we don't pay attention to whether it's buy box or not. If it sells for us and it is worth doing again, we will replenish it. So I say all that to say this: you can always go down on your price. You do not have to be the one who sells the most of the product. I would way rather have 100 ASINs that sell 2 or 3 a month than have 2 or 3 ASINs that sell hundreds a month. It's way less risk for me, way more opportunity for me, and it keeps me in the competition without having to spend a whole bunch of money and put myself at a high risk. So there's my story. That's what I think about that.
Something I feel like we need to emphasize for someone who's hearing this for the first time, especially, is it's not about winning the buy box. 95% of the content out there on YouTube and in courses and in trainings and other communities, it's all about win the buy box, win the buy box. You got to win the buy box if you want to win sales. That's why I created these 170 examples. In none of those examples am I anywhere near the buy box. I can care less what the buy box is. I'm serving those customers who aren't price sensitive. I'm serving those customers who are time sensitive. And there's a lot of them out there. And I've been that, and maybe you have too. And I've put some examples in the Facebook group. I'm like, which seller would you buy from? Here's your options, everything from $19 to $47. And instantly your eye goes to the 19. Like, if this is the same product, right? Yeah, it's the exact same product. What would you pay? Everyone goes to the 19 in our community. Like, yeah, I'm not going to pay more than I have to. Look at the dates. Everyone else's dates are 4 or 5 days out. Here I am at $47, and you can have it tomorrow. Not everyone will pick that option, but enough people will, that I'm selling for $20 more than anyone else, and I'm making steady sales, a few a month. So yeah, we love this strategy. It's such a great way to get your confidence up. Knowing your worst case scenario is you drop your price down to the buy box and you get your money back. And so that's why we talk about it so much, because it eliminates risk. Anything that eliminates risk or reduces risk, we get so excited about around here.
Brian wants to know, is there any end to learning how Keepa can be our best friend? Seems like an orchestra, just paying attention to one instrument won't give the whole show. I agree with you, Brian. That is a great point. There's so much to Keepa. But I also want to keep in mind, for people who haven't used Keepa before, you don't have to be an expert to be able to use it. In fact, when we use a 3-step check, you can see an example of this in podcast number 612, where I show you 3 data points is all you really need to know if an ASIN is test worthy. So you know kind of what the history's been doing. You have evidence, so then you test small, just a few units, to see what it will do for you, and that's where your proof comes in. So keep in mind, you don't have to know everything about Keepa, but you will always be learning more and more things.
The way I would answer his question is no. You'll never know all there is to know, because Amazon's changing constantly. And Keepa is just a glimpse into the way this massive platform is changing constantly. There's always going to be more to learn, but you can learn the basics certainly in a few hours, right? And enough to make really good inventory decisions. but then you'll start to specialize.
We got a question for OA. What's the rule of thumb for percentage for profit? And how long before I would typically expect to get my investment back and then be able to reinvest that capital and potentially reinvest profits? For example, if I want to make $5,000 in a month, typically I have heard 10% profit is realistic, maybe more. So what would mean you would have to invest $50,000 approximately per month to profit 5,000? Does that sound right? 50,000 for 5,000. Does that sound right? What do you think, Jim?
No, not when you're small and starting. There's no reason to settle for margins that thin, tiny. I mean, now someone who's got a $1 million a month operation where they've completely automated replants to the hilt, they may be settling for those kinds of low numbers. But as a new seller, as you're wading in, you may have some months that are that thin. But there's no reason to sell for anything less than 25, 30% net margin, in my opinion, when you're testing. Keep looking for those. Those ASINs are out there. You can find them. If you're not getting 20% net for your efforts and your ROI it's taking you more than, say, 2 months to turn your money over, which means you're going to turn your money over 6 times in a year at, say, on the low end, 20, 25% ROI. My goodness. Yeah, those are the low bar numbers that are very achievable and attainable with this business. So no, 10% is way too low. I mean, there's plenty of people who say, okay, if I want to make $1,000, I got to go spend about $1,000 to $1,500 on the right inventory. And by the time it sells, and I paid my fees and I paid for it, I'm going to make about $1,000, right? The rule of thirds kind of thing. So no, it doesn't. You don't have to settle for 10% net margins by any means in this business, especially when you're new, when you're doing all the work yourself. Find those great ASINs. Just move slower. Find better inventory. Don't look for those super thin margins. Find things that are, that you can buy for $20, and maybe the buy box is $30. Not a lot of money there, but you're going to sell above buy box for $47, $50, and you're going to sell 2 or 3 a month. Build a catalog of those ASINs. That's 35, 40% net margin on those sales, right?
Yeah.
And those are everywhere. Those kind of ASINs are everywhere. We hear this all the time, Rob and Joy, is, well, I can't find anything that's profitable. That tells me that you don't know how the system works yet, because you decide your profit when you set your price. Now, you may have to lower it and settle for less profit than you were hoping. But if you're looking for good ASINs, you decide your profit. You set the price. The buy box doesn't set the price. You set the price. Amazon may say, hey, we'd like you to lower your price. You can say, you know what? I don't want to lower my price. And you don't have to lower your price. If Amazon forces you down, which they will occasionally, you just walk away from that ASIN and go find other ASINs that you can sell at a price you like. That's how the game is played. So profits are determined not by the buy box. They're determined by you when you set your price. And that's something that's hard to convey to new sellers. It becomes a point of frustration sometimes as we're coaching people. It's like, you don't know your profit until you've made a sale, and you get to pick the starting point price. Right?
Exactly. I would say that sometimes my tests, I have to go down to 10% or less to sell it, because it's more important for me to turn my money over and get it back to
maybe a small loss. Hey, this one didn't work out. It's been a couple months. Let's get our money back. Okay, we lost a few dollars a unit, but let's go test something else.
But I'm probably not going to encourage anybody to replenish an item unless they did make 20% or more ROI, or whatever your number is. I mean, different people have different things, but that's the general rule we usually start with. So I probably wouldn't replenish that test if it sold for less than the 20% ROI during the time that I needed to sell. That's more important to me than how much I'm going to make on it when it's a test.
You're going to like this comment. I don't think you've seen this one yet, Rob and Joy. So we got Andrew saying he used to be very heavy into buying wholesale products and fighting over the small margins with other sellers. He's switched strategies. He's now using above buy box strategies. He understands the method that we've been talking about so much for a year or so now, sharing with everyone. And he says his capital is more diversified. He can roll over his profits much faster. He's so glad he's not leaving money on the table. I love it. Yeah, that's so cool. Once you understand that Amazon isn't one central warehouse where everyone goes to price sensitively shop, you visualize, like I had a recent podcast episode where I said, you got to, close your eyes and visual the United States, visualize it, and then spread out a couple hundred warehouses across that map. And then imagine the people who live near each one of those warehouses making difficult decisions every day. Do I want it fast or do I want it cheap a few days from now? A lot of people will want it cheap a few days from now, but a lot of people want it fast. Are you serving them? Probably not. If you're fighting over the buy box constantly, you're ignoring those shoppers entirely. Why not serve them? There's some great margins there. Turn off the repricer for 6 to 8 weeks or so, price high, and watch what happens. And for people who, and the reason I started sharing all these examples in the group, Robin Joyce, because I had some pushbacks from some pretty experienced sellers who are going, oh yeah, well, you can get outside the buy box a little bit, but if you go too far, you'll never make any sales. I'm like, that's not what's happening in my account. I'm ignoring the buy box entirely all day, every day, but I'm making a lot of sales. So I started sharing these examples, and now we've got 170 of them. That link again was silentjim.com/BB70. We can go see 170 examples from my account, ASINS that are selling on a regular basis, well above buy box in real time. Each screenshot I share with you is the day the sale was made. And there's so much opportunity there. But if that's just one strategy, but thanks, Sir Andrew, for sharing your testimonial. We got someone saying they're still trying to figure out Keepa, but they're still struggling. I would say you got to get into the Proven Amazon course and go through the Amazon seller training modules. There's really nothing, it's kind of like I had a math professor, Robin Joy, who one time said, how many of you are intimidated by advanced math? And I can't remember, it was a calculus class or something. He said, here's what you got to remember about numbers. They can only do two things: get bigger and get smaller. That's all math. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, you're right. And Keepa, all Keepa is doing is helping you make a good decision. Should I invest in this inventory or not? Once you keep that in mind, that's all it's doing. All this data and the lines, it's just trying to help you make it, is this an ASIN worth investing in or not? And then you turn on a few features and you make some decisions and you get better at it over time. That's what Keepa does. It's a fairly simple thing. Don't be intimidated by the lines and the colors. I think if you go through those examples in the advanced Keepa strategies course inside the Proven Amazon course, the above buy box course, those two, you're really going to feel comfortable looking at Keepa, and you'll wonder why you were ever so confused by it.
Okay, if you ever find a home run product that's bringing high profits, just be prepared to diversify. Build a bundle, create 2-pack or 3-pack. That's good advice. You don't want all of everything to be in one anything. I'm all about diversifying. Diversify the different brands that you're selling. Diversify the different categories you're selling in. Diversify again the different price ranges that you're selling in, all these things, because if something happens to one, and anything can happen of any of these things, Amazon has been known to change the rules. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be stuck where they cut you off and that was the only thing you had going. So lots of strategies. Start at the beginning. Start where you are. Build a foundation and then go to the next step. The first step is build that foundation, get comfortable with Amazon, and then start diversifying.
Yep, I completely agree. There's so much safety in having a large catalog of ASINs that you're selling a few a month. There's something about the term home run ASIN or home run product that just kind of gives me shivers, because it's a total bait and switch in my experience. Everything that we've ever said, all right, guys, I think we can order a pallet of this thing. What do you guys think? Yeah, all right, let's go for it. Immediately we've regretted the decision, almost immediately. And we hasn't even arrived at our warehouse yet, and we're like, oh no.
And we've heard that story over and over and over again. Every time you start going that way and go away from those safe strategies, it's going to bite you. Ask me how I know.
At some point, it finally clicks. And perhaps one of my favorites, just to use an analogy, is I think we move people from thinking, I got to find profitable products, to I need to find underserved shelf space at Amazon. That's a different prospect entirely. I want to serve some of those underserved customers who live near Amazon's warehouses. That's a different thought process.
A lot of people have never thought that before. They think it's all about finding the cheap. That's why they're scanning barcodes in clearance aisles at Walmart on a Saturday, thinking they're doing Amazon the right way. Like, there's some money there, but that's not the system we're talking about building here at all. It's just not. So just there's a little, it's like putting on a different pair of glasses. Like suddenly the world looks a little differently. We're trying to do that for you guys with these conversations.
People are always saying, where can I find this for cheap enough that I can make a profit at what it's selling at? And I always tell them, you're asking the wrong question. What is the price I need to sell it at in order, the cost, what it costs me is what it costs me. I can't do anything about that. Where do I need to sell it to make that worth it to me? And that's what I'm going to test. If it sells for that or more, I'm going to replenish it. If not, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, get my money back. As long as I'm only selling on ASINS that are moving at a decent clip, I know my worst case scenario is drop the price down to about buy box where all the other sellers are hanging out, beating each other up all day, every day, and you'll make your sale and get rid of your units, right? But yeah, play up there in the fresh air. Fly with the eagles, not with the turkeys, right? That's another buy box analogy. Not to be too mean, but that's kind of what it feels like. I'm looking at these people beating each other up in the buy box. And like, yeah, you guys are kind of playing down there at the ground level. Air is nice up here. Come on up. Let's try it out. I've got a longer question here. I'm going to try to read through. But let me see. Someone's been flipping on Marketplace, aversion to selling online. Been through a bit of a nightmare. Single mom. Yeah, we love single moms around here. Create a business. What would we recommend? Okay, gotcha. Well, let me just answer indirectly this question. You know, single mom, tight. I'm assuming a tight budget here based on what you're saying. And is this something that would work for me? We have plenty of stories in our community of people who started with a couple $100s and built a viable business. One of the things that we're very proud of around here is the fact that we've built a system that you can wade into just a few dollars at a time. If you bought every tool in the training and everything that you need, it's less than $100 a month. That's Keepa, just about $20 a month. The tool we've been talking about, podcast episode 369 explains what Keepa is. You're going to need it. You're going to need your Amazon selling account, which is about $39 a month. So there's another $40 on top of that 20. Then you're going to need proven Amazon course, $40 a month, right? So that's it. That's your monthly charges. If you're serious about this business, you'll be making at least that much money very quickly. Within a few weeks, you should be finding great inventory, flipping it, and more than covering the expenses of being in this business. Then from there, it's about scaling. You don't have to go out and buy $18,000 worth of inventory and sell it at a discount to make a profit. That's not what we're doing here. We're buying 2 or 3 units at a time, selling it against test-worthy listings on Amazon. That's the system that we've developed. So you're just buying a little bit of inventory at a time. You're wading in nice and slow. Over time, you're getting your confidence to answer the question. Yes, you absolutely can do this. Many people have done it. What I don't suggest is if you're operating from a place of desperation or low margin, meaning you're highly stressed, you're working 60 hours a week already to 2 other jobs that you just have to keep and you can't afford to do, you have very little time margin, maybe your health is suffering from it. You need to get back to a place of stability and margin in your life to launch a business. That goes for any business. And you get yourself back to a place where you're not operating out of desperation to launch a business. Plenty of people will sell you a business when you're desperate. We won't. We don't want you doing that. We want you to find some margin, time, health, relationships. You need to have some health in your life to launch a business. You need to be operating from a place of margin. You got some extra time. You're healthy. You got some extra money in your budget, right? But not a lot. But that's my answer to that question. And we love single moms here. Some of the greatest hero stories we've told on our podcast. So we're rooting for you. We're here for you. And please reach out if there's anything we can do to help you out.